In this lesson of CSS tutorial, we'll talk about block and inline elements in CSS. And also we'll see difference between these two types of elements. First of all, every HTML element has default display value, depending what type is specific element. So if HTML element is inline element, by default display value is inline, and opposite of that, if HTML element is block element, by default display value for that element is block value. So what is difference between inline and block elements? Block elements always start in new line. Also, block element take full width of page and has a top and bottom margin. On the other hand, inline element doesn't start in new line, and inline element takes only much width as necessary. Now let's take a look through the code difference between block and inline element. One of block elements we use a lot on the web page is paragraph. So let's add two paragraphs. And now when we save changes and reload page, you can notice that second paragraph starts in new line. That's because this element has block default value. That means this element always starts in new line and also take full width of the page. We can check this if we add border for both elements. So let's add border. As you can see, first and second paragraph took full width on the page. If we want, for some reason, display these two elements in the same line, all we need to do is add inline value for display attribute. So here we're gonna add display attribute and set inline value, and also for second paragraph we're gonna add display attribute and inline value. Let's save changes and reload page. And now you can see that both elements are displayed in the same line. Next, we can add some inline HTML element. So here instead the paragraph, we're gonna add span element. Also, we can delete all styles for both HTML elements. And here we can modify text instead block, we're gonna add inline. And now when we save changes and reload page, you can see that second span element doesn't start in new line. That's because by default display value for span element is inline, and that means span element takes only much width as necessary. If we want to modify these two elements and display in two different lines, we can change display attribute and set display value from inline to block. So here we can add a display attribute and set block value. So now this element is block element. And also we're gonna add the display attribute and block value for second span element. Now when we save changes, you can see that span elements are displayed in two different lines because we changed the display attribute from inline to block value. Important to remember is that every HTML element has default display value, and based on that the specific element is block or inline element, and also we can change display value whenever we need. If you want to see more tutorials and lessons, please support this channel with a like and subscribe. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.